Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. And I guess I took you by surprise that I'm doing another live action one. Because I'm kind of relying on the fact that I can just edit things together because it's a lot easier than just sitting here and doing everything in one take like I usually do. But it came out so freaking soon that now I'm doing a Confession 3 video when Confession 2 actually, I think, took place more than a year after the original Confession 1. I'm kind of hoping this video will not be as dour as the first two because the first one I was basically thinking about killing myself, and the second one is when I wanted to kill everybody, technically. I wasn't exactly depressed, but I was just mad about what people with Ludlow did to me. But I want this to be a little more hopeful video. I want to go over, I guess, the prime of my life. Basically what made me the man I am today, technically. I wouldn't like that when I was depressed because what I'm about to say might actually catch a lot of people off guard because when you watch my earlier videos, you have no clue, like, where would this even come from, because what I'm about to say wasn't exactly me when I was depressed, because I wasn't me. I was just some douchebag. Because I'm actually starting to go back to how I used to be when I was a kid. Like, a better person and optimistic. But when I was depressed, I was just this person who was completely fine with living in mediocrity, just having no direction in life, wanted to die all the time, was a freaking man whore, wanted to do drugs. But let's get to it. And just to say, I'm just not going to mention certain parts of my past because I'm having mental issues with them. I had a big revelation, which I'll mention, but like years ago, and I'm not doing it like I completely do not trust my own past. I do it like I don't think you guys would understand or people in my family would understand, even though they were there. So don't know how they would know that. But let's go over my upbringing. So I was born somewhere, I think in Russia, in 2002, July 6, 2002. And don't really know what happened, but let's skip 3 years ahead maybe, because I think around there is when I watched the original Spider-Man movie. Yeah, I can't believe that, a baby watching a freaking Spider-Man movie. I think at the time I was maybe 3. Spider-Man 2 and 1 were already out, so I watched them a lot. Was really hyped for Spider-Man 3. And what people don't actually know is I think I used to be somewhat of a superhero, wanted to be just like Spider-Man. Yeah, you don't really see that in my older videos because I was freaking depressed. But I wanted to actually help people. I just wanted to be this superhero type of guy. I wanted to wear costumes, spin webs everywhere, just do what a superhero does. And to that, let's try going, because for 3 and 4, I think I went to this one school-like place. I don't know if it was like before preschool or something, but I went to preschool at 5. And a lot of my past is actually kind of blurry now I think about it. I just remember watching the Spider-Man movies. I watched Batman and Robin and liked it for some reason. Yeah, I'm one of those people who actually liked the movie. I watched SpongeBob, other shows. I even made comics of my own. It's called It Had Our Mattery, but you guys were pretty much led to that in the Why Can't Villain Be Villains video. I also watched The Incredibles, and I watched a lot of cartoons and stuff, and I don't know, my freaking life in the past was weird. It's like I'd go to these places sometimes where I don't want to go, like the doctor, which I guess you kind of need your shots, but I do have a very big fear of needles. If you have a needle or a knife, I'll literally back up so quick. I think that's one of my 6 or 7 phobias. And I went to this one speech therapy place because my stepmom and my brother Timmy somehow thought I had speech issues, which I didn't. I could actually have perfectly held a conversation at the age of 3 or something, or 4. But it was kind of dour a bit, but I went to these places where you got these unique kids, let's say like that, and I would go there and I'm like, why am I here? What do I need speech things for? I spoke completely fine. And I freaking hated it. I don't even want to think about that area of my life and that much at all. People thinking I have speech issues when I talk completely fine. I think when I was depressed, my speech probably went down a bit because I basically went through this thing called, I think, it's some I'm thinking about it as depression or retardation, but it's actually like your memory. It's like your IQ goes down when you become depressed. So yeah, I kind of just had it like that. I'm a lot smarter, or technically would have been as smart as I was when I was a kid if all that trauma didn't happen. Um, I think when I was 5, I went to Burlington, which was my favorite school because when I went there, I immediately got a girlfriend, and that preschool was super fun. It was like this big room, really short ceiling for some reason, so every time my dad went there, he had to go, hey bud, I'm picking you up from preschool, because he had to have his hand literally on the ceiling away from his head. He's 6'6" for context. But I went there, it was fun, not many issues arose. Me and my first girlfriend used to literally play in that house and pretend we lived there. I remember being 5 years old going, isn't this the life? Looking over the little blue rug like it's a nice lake. And I'm just standing on the little stairway edge. Man, that place was so fun. And then I went to kindergarten. For some reason, I actually struggled because, I'm a child and I don't think I exactly paid attention in school. I was just having a fun time, just not doing anything else. But even though I struggled in kindergarten, I had a pretty fun time. I actually do not remember much from kindergarten, but I do remember a lot from first grade. Maybe a little less from second grade. I remember in first grade, actually, when I was 7, I went to first grade, and I had this one cool teacher. She was a math teacher. I actually forgot her name. And she had the best way to literally talk about not fractions. Greater than, less than. She used to do her arms like this. And I don't know why, but that felt so cool back then. Ow, my freaking neck. Am I sitting in a weird position? Okay, this feels more comfortable. So then, through first grade, I remember going to music class, art class, learning what the primary and secondary colors are. I remember even getting into a fight after one of my best friends, Carson, was getting attacked by this kid and this other kid, and we just beat the crap out of them. And that was it. I think I also won the other fights, but that wasn't as important. The food was great at Burlington. This was before Michael Obama decided to just bomb everybody and go, kids are getting fat by the fact that freaking school lunches taste amazing. So that was an oof. And trying to think about something else, but for so far, I remember in first grade I was crying in music class and I got sent home. I forgot why. In second grade, it was kind of less enjoyable. I feel like it was still fun because, it's Burlington. And they had this new road around it for some reason. I'm like, is this just so people can run or something? I found that was like probably the first big flaw that I'm kind of getting out of things. But I did not like my homeroom teacher because she was freaking crazy and very strict. All my other teachers, I actually barely remember. I remember this one time I was on a freaking computer and I looked up a bear and I got freaking scared. 8-year-olds. They have very wild imaginations. I remember straight screaming in class. I can't even raise my voice nowadays. It might actually be a mental block. But with that, I also got into another fight because it was for the dumbest reason, I'll tell you that. Like, me and this kid, Evan, literally got into basically one of the most violent fist fights you can ever see 2 8-year-olds do. And it was just because we both had the same favorite color, green. Children, man, they fight over the dumbest crap. But other than that, other than my school life, I remember actually living at home. Home was nice. Heard my dad and my stepmom argue a lot. I ran around the house because our first floor actually was a perfect circle. A perfect circle. You can run around the freaking both living rooms. They called this one the toy room, but we still used it as a living room. We ran around the stair area. I ran around the kitchen, went back in the living room. One of the best houses you can ever live in. It was fun. I basically call it a mansion now. And yeah, we had that. I remember every time I always like to talk about my past, my brother likes to downplay and go, "You had an inflatable something in your freaking house." I'm like, okay, and we also had a freaking big yard that was like maybe a mile long. Crap was huge. And he goes, "Yeah, it don't count." I'm like, okay. It was a fun yard too. It was big, nice big. You got a big old hill. So when it snows, you can literally ride your sled down into the freaking street. And I remember this one time, my stepbrother Taylor, and my friend Dustin all literally got on top in all white shirts for some reason and high dog down the hill. It was the funnest thing you would ever see. Nowadays, people always like to complain about slugs, but I'm like, honestly, Sade Moore Spring should be put down to a minimum because honestly, that's probably why it sucks to hot dunk down a hill now. You're going to get bugs on you. Hey, back in the day, that didn't happen. The only thing you got on you was grass. Just green grass that mark up your shirt. You don't even get anything. But I'm thinking about better times. And I think about how did I even become the person I am today? I would think most of it is from being in my depression, making mistake after mistake, all that trauma I suffered in my life. And outside of that, I still have a personality. I always think of myself just simply and basic. I just wanted to fit in. I'm like, hey guys, I'm normal. Please do not lump me in with them people. Okay? And I just felt isolated a lot. I think about it. My family didn't exactly have a healthy home life, just like me, We didn't exactly have a healthy home life. For the first 8 years of my life, I just want to talk about them first 8 years, so the video don't just drag on, but I have, no. Yeah, I think a lot of things in my childhood might actually have been dappered up by my good memories and not by my bad memories. Ain't like the fact my dad beat me in the butt with his freaking belt. I think one time I lied and I forgot what the other one is. And the overall fact, I may have a mental condition, but I'm just limited to one. I'm not gonna be like them Zoomers that just give a whole Olive Garden menu of what mental conditions they have and they just self-diagnose. But for me, I've actually, I guess, had the credentials of a scientist without actually going to a college. I got a pretty good idea of the human mind, and I guess I just call it that. I just call myself a multi-toned individual. I technically have two primary tones, but just like every disease or mental disorder, it's always on a spectrum. So I think I just have more of a clear-cut spectrum for what mine would be because I have both a psychotic and a loving mindset, which would counter each other, but it's weird. I remember as a kid, I actually used to be very psychotic. Remember chasing people with a knife, wanting to freaking stomp on small animals. Just, even at a couple points, I even had thoughts about killing my whole family. As a kid, Little old kid, 3 foot tall, maybe 6 years old, always had thoughts about killing other children. I've always had this urge to kill throughout my whole life. It probably went down when I was depressed because I was focused on other things and my mind wasn't in such a good place, so never really felt it. Now I feel it to a pretty standard extent that I used to as a kid, but as a kid, the things you're used to as an adult probably would overwhelm you, but I managed. I basically just draw violent art like gore. I got into that stuff, found it funny for some reason. And yeah, that's one half of my mind. And then the other one is the loving mindset, which, if you say it in the same context of what I just said, it makes no dang sense. But basically, I want to help people. I want to basically be like Spider-Man, I want to be relied on. I want to actually be taken freaking seriously, which is very tragic in my life because ever since I was born, I was never taken with legitimacy. People always thought of what I said and like, wow, he's got a great imagination. I'm like, Dad, what? I want to know how to drive. I'm 15 years old. What do you talk about? And everything I always said would always go over my family's head. I tried, actually, I can't even talk to my brother Timmy about it because it, like, having both those mindsets literally confuses him because he cannot understand what a multi-toned individual would be. And so he thinks about each tone like I'm a person at that moment. He thinks I'm a piece of crap for having the psychotic tone, and he thinks I'm a good person for having the good tone. Like, they're still both a part of me, bud. I'm still myself in both of those. Because I'll tell you, it's actually very different than multiple personality disorder. Because when they shift their mindset, they're basically a different person. When I shift my mindset, I'm not exactly shifting a personality, I'm shifting the way I think. Because I've always was like this, I think, since the age of 4. That I've had these two mindsets along with it. I wish there was a physical representation about how they would work, but I guess people just enter a conversation and just hope for the best. Which mindset am I going to be talking to today? Like, I'm still the same person. Like, I'm either Henry with a loving mindset or Henry with a psychotic mindset. And that's just how they're going to see it, I guess. I'm going to be wrapping this video up in a bit, but I just want to tell people, like, I think what I can say on YouTube and what I can exactly expel, like, if people knew exactly what I am or what I've been through, what my personality is, I think so many people would look at me less as like this edgelord on YouTube, as more of a actually multi-layered person, because even in those mindsets, you count those two actual mindsets as themselves, and you have them little splits. And that's what trauma and puberty and all that stuff does to you. I was no longer just some basic kid with two mindsets. I'm just now an adult man at the age of 20 with two major ones and a lot of splits. I don't even know like what's even in my mind now, because my mind has been over repressing things, which means if I took a shower today, I would not have remembered at all. Like, I don't know why I would over repress, but I then had this little split like on the 21st when I was before I got baptized, and I was really hoping, what is happening to me? Luckily, it only lasted for a week, and I'm okay now. But basically, I guess the Hulk was in my freaking body, you could say that. But Ann or Joe said that was probably the thing I was over repressing, the fact that somehow in my being I have an alternate personality, and I'm like, I don't think I have multiple personality disorder. I think I'm just one guy, bud. And so I stick with that, and probably could talk longer, but people are not going to watch an 18-minute video. I do, though. I hope everybody had a good hearing, listening to what I want to ramble about, and the fact that everybody at least knows me a lot more now. Because my first confession didn't exactly describe who I was, it described that I wanted to kill myself. My second one ended up coming out butched, and I reacted terribly to the weather, and I think he glitched out at the end, so I just got rid of the video and had the whole thing be in the description, because I'm a lot better typer than I am speaker. Because even my love language says I'm not a good speaker, because my love language is physical touch. Like being touched. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Hope you have a good day, and that you at least understand me a bit more.